Hi everyone, it's a real privilege today to bring you a video about how to fix breathy voicing. Lots of people often ask about how to fix breathy tone, and I guess I would start by saying that it's important to note, is your breathy tone in your speaking voice or just in your singing voice, or is it in both? And when you approach a singing teacher to help you with this, it's really important that you try and give them some information on that, because that could mean that if your speaking voice is breathy and your singing voice isn't, that you're choosing to speak in a breathy tone, and therefore it's not going to affect your singing voice, or vice versa. If it's both, then it might be that it's a development issue and that you can be working on some exercises technically to strengthen and develop the muscles well and healthily, to help your voice grow into a less breathier place. It's really important to note that girls going through puberty do commonly have a lot more breathy tone than boys might do. Boys do too suffer with breathy tone through their voice change, but the good news is that learning singing technique that works and stretches the vocal mechanism will pay off. And I've seen that time and time again, and obviously for every young person whose voice is changing, girls and boys inclusive, it's really an unknown territory. And then you all want to sort of mark your development or progress alongside something else, but actually your development is unique to you, and that's really frustrating. But all I can assure you from my experience, and it's extensive experience, is that it will pay off if you get technical. And I like to say technique is technique is technique is technique is technique, and on and on and on and on and on. And I guess it's the same if you were to think of yourself as a dancer or an athlete. Some days you hit the track or hit the gym or hit a dance class and your body's just not working properly, and that might be because of where you are developmentally. You might be suffering with growing pains, or your muscles might be imbalanced, and so something's becoming a bit stiffer or a bit too loose somewhere, and you've got to rework it and rebalance it. And it's a kind of the same thing. Let's remember that our voice is a group made up of a group of muscles amongst many other things. Causes breathy voicing? Well, there's a few things that I want to explore today. The first one is puberty can cause it. The stage of your growth, the state that your larynx is in, and the length of your vocal cords, where they're at in development, really affects that tone, in this case breathy tone, I imagine. Your habits, so your speaking, the culture that you're growing up in, the accent that you speak in, those are all affecting the tone of your voice. And obviously some accents will be more breathy than others, and I'm not going to start giving examples of accents because I think I might get shot. You could have breathy tone because you're pushing breath, literally just pushing too much breath or using breath inefficiently. We might put that down to airflow. It could be that you've got breathy tone because of incorrect breathing patterns, and you can certainly start addressing that by flicking back a few weeks or maybe months to my alignment and breathing video. So let's just break those down a bit more. If puberty is the cause for your breathy tone, well, then you need to keep at the exercises and you need to keep working to bring those vocal cords together. It's very, very common for there to be a gap in the vocal cords, especially in young girls, and that's as your voice is growing and developing, that should close up. Of course, it will aid you to get in front of a great teacher and learn some really good exercises to help ensure that that's happening efficiently. Okay, you can do exercises and singing work at home to try and avoid this breathiness through puberty, but obviously having a teacher guide you, somebody who knows what they're doing, is experienced with young voices, somebody who's worked a lot and understands a lot of young voices, is somebody who's going to be able to help you. So then our second one was the stage of your growth. Now by that what I mean is Children notoriously have breathy tone, and that's because they kind of speak like this. Well, that's a massive generalization. Some children don't speak like that, but it could be the stage that your voice in development is at. It could be literally down to the development of your voice. So if we go back to that picture of an athlete who's growing and changing, and we know that we often use this phrase, growing pains often comes around, and the breathy tone in your voice as you're growing can kind of be relative to, or relatable to, that growing pains kind of thing. We kind of hear that your voice is at that shifting position, and then we've got to shift everything around and stretch everything a bit more to help it get into the right position, to the right strength, to the right capabilities for when you have grown. So then habits, let's explore the habits. So try and speak with a clear tone. If you can speak with a clear tone, then you're going to probably have better chance of singing with a clear tone. If you speak with breathy tone, it's likely that's going to work into your singing voice as well. So it's important here to mention that we shouldn't overwork the voice. So you don't want to be getting to that point where you're squeezing sound out and trying to squeeze anything. Remember, it's also important that you can't actually feel your vocal cords, however much you try. You might feel some feedback from something else that's happening in here, but you won't actually be able to feel your vocal cords coming together. And so a couple of exercises for getting or accessing clearer tone in your speaking voice. You can literally do this in your speaking voice. So if your speaking voice is lower than mine, pitch it at your speaking level. So just, you know, you've dropped your phone down the loo. And if you do that a few times, and then what we're going to do is we're going to try a breathy one, and then just a normal speaking one. And then we're going to try one that's really what I call smooth and almost like a little sobbing 5-year-old child. Okay, so we're going to do really, really breathy, good. And then we're going to do just as you would speak it. And then we're going to do a little bit smoother. Okay, let's try those. So we're going to do a breathy is that last one nice and smooth? Okay, and then we can try it with different vowels. So we could do e, o, I, ooh. Okay, I keep leaning forward today because I've put my notes in front of me, but I haven't put the screen lock off, so I have to keep tapping the thing so the lights come on. I'm sorry that I keep moving forward, it's probably interrupting your vision, but there's worse things. Okay, and then we're gonna just keep doing that maybe 10 times. So you've got breathy, speechy, and let's say smooth and sobby, cryy, whatever words you want to use that do that. So it could be okay, and that's really great way of starting to be able to recognize the different sounds that you can make with the breath. Okay, so then we're going to develop that into and we're just going to get a little bit of a phrase going. E, ooh, I, and you hear that nice clear sound. And then we're going to try it breathy deliberately so you can feel the difference. E, ooh, I, oh. Okay, and then you might want to try a smooth one. E, ooh, I, E. And that sounds quite legit, it sounds quite smooth, it sounds quite legato, sounds quite classical. But again, you're just kind of playing around. Half of developing your voice is seeing what it can do. Okay, and then we can try things like she, and trying to get that nice clear sound. She. she in a really speechy position. Remember, it's got to be like the uh-oh, nice and clear. She, have a go. She, sha, show. And what we don't want is this, she, yeah? But we will practice doing those so we can feel the difference. So try a breathy one. She, sha, show, shoo, shy. Then let's try a really smooth, or whatever you like to call it, maybe classical, legit. She, shy, show, shoo, sha. And this is all where you feel natural in your pitch. So if you're a lot younger than me, and certainly if you're under 10, you're going to have quite a higher pitch voice, okay? Because naturally your larynx is a lot higher, and you'll be up here, she, shay. But don't pitch out. Don't compare your pitch to me. Just literally imagine you've dropped your phone on the floor. Uh-oh. Yeah, and that's where you would be. Okay, so quick recap. We're going to just practice going, uh-oh, just like you've dropped your phone. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-ah, uh-ee, uh-I, uh-a, and so on. Then try it breathy. Uh-ah, uh-ee, uh-a, uh-oh. It doesn't matter what order you do the vowels in. You can do them in any order. Then let's try a smooth one. Uh-ah, uh-a, uh-ee, uh-I, uh-oh. Yeah. Then we're going to go into a nice longer sound that we hold. Uh-ah, uh-ee, uh-oo, uh-a. And again, breathy, then smooth. We might even throw in another little extra development here. Uh-ah, uh-ee. And then I'll do a breathy one. Uh-ah, uh-ee. A smooth one. Uh-ah, ee. Yeah. And then we can do our she, sha, shay, shoo. Okay. You might use some of my other warm-up exercises to practice. Bra, bree, bray, bro. Breathy, broo, smooth, bra. You might use the bottle of water with some bubbles. Bra, bree, bray, bro. And then a breathy one. Breathe. Then a smooth one. You see? And of course, if you're giving yourself adequate time to be developing your voice, and you do need to pocket in adequate time to develop your voice, then you might take that up a bit. Okay, so you could move it up the scale as well. I'm going to wrap that one up there. Moving on to the next point, if you're someone who feels like you do push air, or if somebody's maybe told you you're pushing too much air there, here's a couple of exercises to work on that. So first of all, it's really great if you can monitor by blowing some bubbles in some water. Now, I would normally recommend a straw that bends, but they're all gone out to students this week, so I've got quite a rigid straight straw. But remember to bring the straw up to your lips, not your lips down to the straw. You want to always make sure that your alignment is ears over shoulders. Okay, so when I'm learning songs, to check that my airflow is correct and maybe that I'm not pushing air to begin with, I will do this exercise to learn a song. So I'm going to go with Defying Gravity. Good, and you would see if I push some air for you on that. You should be able to see in the bubbles what happens. And you'll notice I also had to take more breath because I was pushing too much air. And then what happens if I don't use enough air? I won't get as many bubbles. So I want nice clear tone, nice easy airflow. So nice consistent bubbles, that's the word I was looking for, consistent bubbles. And another really good exercise for adapting airflow is puffy cheeks. So you just puff up your cheeks, and you're going to breathe out through the little gap in your lips at the front here. Or you can go to singing your little song. Of course, if you're pushing air, well, it's just hard to push air when you're doing that exercise. So it's a really good one. And you can develop both of these with scales. And I know you all hate singing scales, but it is a really good way of monitoring. Write that down in your journal and go over it every day. I'm doing scales to monitor. It's a really good way of marking your progress. So if I do and what I'm doing there is I'm matching the amount of airflow and amount of pressure that I'm using doing the bubbles when I'm singing. Okay, so we don't want any explosions like this. You can hear it. I'm exaggerating, but you can hear it. And then of course you can try that on all vowels. You can do it from puffy cheeks. And you'll feel the airflow and the air pressure wanting to adjust as you're moving up your scales. But you can go back to the bottle and back to puffy cheeks to help you sort that out. Another good exercise to help you manage airflow and stop you pushing air is a siren. That's the silent NG. So if you say the word sing and linger on the NG, sing, NG, and so on. However, my favourite ones are the bubbles and the puffy cheeks. Another great way of monitoring breathiness is to see if it's coming from constriction or tension. And a way of monitoring this is by simply tensing and seeing, and then relaxing and seeing if you can tell the difference. So if I do, I'd sooner try defying gravity. I'd sooner try defying. So there what you can hopefully see is that I played around with squeezing, tensing in my throat, shoulders and arms, and you could hear that it was getting tight. The sound was getting tight, it was getting breathy, and then when I was relaxing, the sound was relaxing again. So from that, and you don't want to be doing this all the time, because you want to make sure, for one, that if you are doing tension work, that you kind of have an instructor in front of you so that you know what you're doing better. But it is a good thing to sometimes do some negative practice so that you can hear and address and see it for yourself. You know, so if somebody's questioning whether you're tense when you're singing, go away, have a little go tensing your 10 out of 10, just for maybe 2 bars of it, and then do it again without tension. And actually there you'll really be able to assess yourself if you're tense or not. I hope that helped. I know it's an absolute whistle-stop video today, but Hopefully that's given you some tips. Hopefully you can be emailing me with more questions and firing away so I can help you even more. Remember, you can come and find me for a singing lesson in the heart of London's West End, or if you can't get to me in London, I offer Skype and video link FaceTime lessons, or video link tutorials, which is where you film a song that you're working on. You film it 2 or 3 times so that I can then watch them through, and then I film you, in effect, a lesson back and whiz it back to you via YouTube link, which nobody else sees, by the way. So here we go. Here's how you can get in touch with me. You can visit my website, www.ameliacarvoice.com. You can email me, ac@ameliacarvoice.com, or you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on Facebook. It's Amelia Carr Voice. Don't forget, if you hop onto my Insta story every week, you can post your live questions. If you've got a quick singing question that you're desperate to get me to answer, then post it there and I will post answers live every Saturday. I hope you've enjoyed today. Don't forget to get in touch with any questions. Post your comments, or post in the comments if you've got any questions, and send me any requests if you've got a video request that you'd like me to smash through.